Don't let your business go to zero. We talk about that next on the Two Business Guys Mastermind. Enjoy. This business podcast, the Two Business Guys Mastermind, uncovers for you secrets and share tips and tricks to entrepreneurship as they mastermind on how to have startup, operational, and overall business success so that you can go on to get better results. Enjoy. Rob, we spent like an hour talking before we actually got on. So everybody, today's show, we just going to give you some of the snippets of what we have been talking about for an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe I forgot to hit record, but we have been talking about so many different things. So Rob says something that was so key. I just had to come on.
Here you go.
Rob, you understood. Go ahead and say that part.
No, I love it. So
I understand numbers.
This is all coming back from a conversation we're having about money and all the things that I'm learning about money now. And what I told Randy, who's my big bro in this space, and y'all need to know, if you got questions about money, finances, all the rest of that type of stuff, talk to Mr. Outerbridge. But one of the things that was weird to me was like I was always good at math. I understood numbers, but I realized that I didn't really understand money until recently. And
that's the benefit of running a business, starting a business. This is what we talk about, y'all. Why we want you in business is because you start understanding the machinations of money, the machine, how it moves.
Right.
Go ahead, Rob. I'm sorry.
And this is really important because this goes back to a bigger conversation we were having about generational wealth and understanding how to move from kind of poverty to wealth and these types of things, and the faulty expectations that oftentimes we have about stuff. And so we were talking about, Ray Dalio is one of the best traders in the world, and one of the things that he was talking about, there's so many people that are out there that think that you can go into the market or that you can invest and not lose. And so they're trying to figure out how to not lose. And it reminded me of one of the things I learned from my martial arts instructors, Gracie's. One of the things that I know Henner and Hiron used to always say is like, the first thing that you have to understand about fighting is that you're going to get hit. Once you can acclimate yourself to the fact that you're going to get hit, then you get out of your mind all these fancy machinations about, I'm learning this style that teaches me how to hit you without getting hit, or that teaches me how to, knock you out from 5 feet away, or all these different types of crazy things, right? Where you see people all the time, you see these videos where there's these fake gurus that are getting beat and pummeled and all the rest of this type of stuff. Because here's the reality about physics and about fighting. If you get into a fight, here's the thing that I can promise you, you are going to get hit. The question is not, are you going to get hit? The question is, what is the impact of that hit? And so in jiu-jitsu, what we really focus on is, how do you take the knockout blows and eliminate their probability, reduce their probability? How you take 10s and make them 3s, 2s, and 1s so that you can live to fight another day. Same thing with
the business.
Go ahead.
Right. And
same thing with money.
Of the business.
Right. Same thing with money.
How do I start a business?
You're going to lose money.
You're going to have.
Right. You're going to have down cycles. You're going to have periods of time where you're not making money, where you're not making sales, where you're selling stuff and you're losing money on it and you don't know that you're losing money, all the rest of that. So get out of your head that you're going to learn how to run the perfect business. Instead, understand how you can reduce the likelihood or the probability of what we call bad beats or what we call huge losses, right? And one of the things I talk about in my leadership book is, you want to mitigate or eliminate catastrophic failure.
That's right.
If you can do that, because the game of money, the game of business is a game of survival. The longer you survive, the more opportunities you have to get good at this and to reduce how many bad outcomes happen in your life. Again, another analogy, same lesson. When I was learning to play golf, one of the guys that I was learning from was like, the only difference between, right, everybody hits bad shots in golf. Mm-hmm. The only difference between professional golfers and amateur golfers is that the professional golfer's bad shot is still a good shot for an amateur golfer. Right?
That's funny.
So all they did is elevate the level of their shots. So they're great, they're good shots, they're amazing shots, are great, magical, right? We do clips on them, they make top 10s and all the rest of this type of stuff. But that's not where they live. They don't live in their great shots where you see it on ESPN. That's not where most professional golfers live. They live in average land, but they've just mitigated their risk. So their bad shots are never across the highway to the left.
It seems to me that it makes sense. If you think about that analogy, right, and you start talking about business, you go, okay, in business, you know you're going to have some of those, like you said, ups and downs, bad years. But that golfer, just like the business person that has a degree of experience, they know they're going to make a great shot to make up for it.
Exactly.
And that, as I listen to that, Rob, that's what I'm thinking about. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to make a better shot. I know over time. Y'all hearing this?
And so they prevent themselves from hitting, they prevent themselves from taking a shot that would make it impossible for them to take that better shot over time, right? They don't kill their ability. This is another quote from Tony Robbins' book that we were talking about off camera, Money Mastering the Game, right? He talked about there was the difference between the uber wealthy and the uber rich and how they invest versus normal people is it's not so much that they win so much more often, but they make sure that they never go to zero, because they know that it doesn't matter how much money you have. You always have the threat of going to zero, but going to zero from 1,000 is a lot less painful than going to zero from 1 billion. Right? And it's a lot harder. Exactly. It's a lot harder to get back from 0 to 1 billion than it is to get back from 0 to 1,000. And so what he talks about in the book is he says, once you get to a certain level, your job is not to continue growing at the pace that you grew. Your job is to make sure you never go back to zero.
I think Warren Buffett said that too. Never lose money.
Never lose, right?
Don't lose money.
Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, if you forget rule number 1, go back and read rule number 1, right? Like, at the end of the day, I think that's the thing for business owners that we have to pay closest attention to. It's important for us to be able to lose, to be able to make mistakes and all the rest of that. But you have to know the things that will scuttle your business. You have to know the things that will make it impossible for you to continue. You have to know the things that are what I term catastrophic failures.
Yep. Jim Collins called it blow a hole in the side of your boat. And I may be messing up that quote, but blow a hole in the side of your thing.
Exactly.
Moment, right? Now, right. I think we've all had those opportunities to blow a hole in the side of our boat, right? Now, some people think that starting a business is, I'm going to take all of the money and I'm going to just go and do this thing and I'm going to blow it all on this idea of this possibility, right? And I think when you can de-risk, then you can de-risk your option, right? Then you're at least, like Rob talked about, mitigating the potential downside. Right. So you're looking at it and saying, okay, if this went to zero, what else have I done? Now, I know Alex Hormozy is really big on talking about, have you gained a skill that now you can, even if things went to zero, you can go into the marketplace and trade. And this is what we talk about a lot here, right? Is that, okay, if you're just starting off and you have some fear, just getting in is going to help de-risk that fear because you're going to get some experience. And then as you get some experience, can you multiply those experiences by the other stuff that you apply that experience to? You're de-risking as you're going. We talk about it a lot.
Exactly. Right? And that key point that you made is all about probabilities. What so many people don't realize, and again, I didn't realize this is the epiphany. This is the learning moment that I had. So hopefully this helps y'all years before I got it, right? What so many of the business gurus that I'm listening to now and the mentors that I'm talking to now, they talk about is what you're wanting to look at is the probabilities. So if you have, right, because oftentimes we think that there's this once in a lifetime opportunity where you got to risk it all to get it all. And it's like, no, that's not actually how life works. You generally have lots of different opportunities, and the reward varies from lots of reward to little reward. but you're not trying to look at the little reward opportunities, right? That's not the biggest thing. You want to look at all of the lots of reward opportunities, because then you can start to distinguish, because there's some of those lots of reward opportunities that are little risk, and there's some of those lots of reward opportunities that are a lot of risk. Mm-hmm. And you want to eliminate the lot of risk, lot of reward opportunities from your situation. You want to have a risk threshold that says, I'm not risking more than this. I don't care what the reward is, because then you start going to find those opportunities that have exponential reward for that same amount of risk that you were just talking about, right? There are certain professions where the same amount of college training can make you lots of money, or the same amount of college training can make you very little money. Most of us don't go into school. I remember I didn't go into college looking at it like this. I didn't go into college and say, what are the majors that make the most money when you come out with a 4-year degree? I never thought about that when I went to college, right? And it's not that you have to pick the major that makes you the most money, but at least now you understand what you're getting into, because guess what? You're paying the same amount of money for all them majors. It's the same amount of money out of your pocket, but the back end return on investment is a completely different thing. Same thing in business. There are certain coaching programs, there are certain vendors, there are certain people that you can bring on your team, et cetera, that it might cost you the same $50,000 to hire this employee. But the question is, what do you think the anticipated upside is of that employee? One of the things I do with the companies that I work with, the bigger companies I work with, is teach them how to quantify the value of the people that they're bringing in. What are you expecting them to do for your business in the next 2 to 5 years? How are you anticipating that that's going to affect your bottom line? Not just your culture, not just your, us feeling good about being at work. We quantify it, because you're going to be spending real dollars. What's the real result that you're expecting to get?
Now that you talk about a job description, it's what I do with the juice bar, right? I say, okay, I'm getting ready to hire this person. And first thing I tell them is, here's what we expect to do a day. And then I ask, this is the qualifier, y'all. So if you're on the other end of this and you say, I want to get a job over at the juice bar. So I say, give me an idea of how you would help us get there.
Exactly.
Right. So now, and I'm telling you, man, I had one young lady we just hired. She gave the great answer. I had to kind of coach it out of her. She gave like a couple of answers. Well, I'll do this. All right. Okay. And I says, well, that's kind of expected. I'm going to be nice to the employees or I'm going to be nice to customers coming in. So that's kind of expected.
Right. We do that.
And then I says, and what else? I mean, they were laughing at me. The other guys that, that are on the team, right? They were laughing at me because I must have asked for what and what else, because I really wanted her to get it. Right. And it was beautiful. I mean, she was able to kind of go, oh, I see. So we're always constantly saying, here's something else. Now that you're in for this, here's something else. I said, yes, that's the idea. That's what they call, increasing the order cart.
Exactly.
So, but that becomes one of those opportunities, right? What Rob talked about. Quantify the value of people you're bringing in. That's game changer opportunity, right? And you can also, as you look at your business and your growth pattern, you can also look at people and go, will they help us get there?
Exactly.
How many companies do you know that have restructured? And you're like, well, what just happened? Well, they looked at where they wanted to go and they asked a big question of who they had. Are they capable? And you got to do that as a CEO too, right? Am I capable? Do I have the vision, the energy, and all these other things to bring it to from
where we're trying to go, right?
Pop to whatever level, right?
Right.
Maybe even a public company, right? I know the Spotify guy did that. He says, am I the guy to go into a public company environment and lead us?
Right.
What do I need? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn?
And that right there is such an important question. Once you figure out what your goal is, figuring out what you need, or as you like to ask all the time, who you need to help you get there, is so important, because now it helps you to evaluate options by their probability of getting you there, because the potential for it to go to zero is always there.
Sure.
But if I have something that works 70% of the time versus something that works 5% of the time, then that dramatically increases the shot that I'm not going to go to zero, right? That's the biggest thing. With the 5% thing, 1 out of every 20 times, I'm going to win. But 19 out of every 20 times, I'm going to zero. With the 7% thing, 7 out of 10 times I'm going to win, and I only got to worry about 3 out of 10 times going to zero. That's the key.
Probability, a little bit of math, a little bit of, hey, I think I can do it. Who am I? What do I have around me? Who do I have around me? Who do I need to get? Those are the kind of questions that you're asking in your business constantly. You're trying not to go to zero, especially when the recession is supposed to be upon us. Mm-hmm. How do you not go to zero? That's the show, Rob. Hey, I got to get out of here.
All right, brother, man.
Hiring.
Let's go.
All right, man. We'll talk again soon, everybody.